Oh geez, it's already been about a week. Let's see how my first commentary Oh wow. You guys really like hearing how bad this series is sometimes, huh? But yeah, thanks for the support on this previous vid. I have to admit you guys clutched up. However, there are some few things I want to mention before I start this video. A peeve that needs to be petted, I should say. There were a few handfuls of comments that were pretty insightful, and I agree with a lot of them. And even the ones I didn't agree with, still pretty insightful and made sense. But there's a few comments that were calling me a tourist, which I think is probably the funniest shit I've ever heard. Yeah, I wish that was true. I probably have more hours in Persona than people have in a year worth of playing games. And I know that sounds like a own type of thing or a bragging right type of statement, when it's really the exact opposite. Telling a bunch of online people that I have over 4,000 hours combined in Atlas games is something that shows I need a life. Badly. And what's funnier is people are only saying I'm a tourist because I'm hating on Japanese customs. Like, are we for real? I'm going to call out whether it's from West or Japan. There's stuff the West says about Persona a lot too that I'm not exactly a fan of either, and shit is still shit no matter who's producing it. And it's my job as a Megaten YouTube— oh my god, I thought that sounded a little better in my head, Jesus Christ. But yeah, it's my job as a YouTuber to call out the BS, so there's no bias here. I thought of making this video because someone in the previous comment section pointed this out, and I thought it was a pretty good comment from Mr. or Mrs. Yeah, I can't read that, but it says, "I don't know what's worse, these tropes or the fandom." And here we go. Oh buddy, we are one of the worst fan bases to have ever existed. You have no idea. Just nuke the whole generation.
If it were up to me, I would drop an atomic bomb on the whole generation.
In a special way, girl. You light my fire. My life with you, baby. You blow my mind. I'm satisfied.
Outstanding.
Shabba-dabba-dee-dee-tweet-tweet.
Girl, you knock me out.
Girl, you know, you knock me out.
Exciting.
So excited, baby.
Makes me wanna shout.
Now, to be honest, when I thought about making this video, I didn't really have an exact way to go about it. Because, well, to be frank, there's too many parts of this fan base that are extremely bad. And I honestly would have a YouTube documentary length of a video. And despite me having very juicy mid-roll ads to do that, I'd prefer not to. So we're gonna stick to it short and simple. S tier all the way down to F tier. Every fan on this list pretty much sucks, can't even lie. But S tier at least means they are funny and amusing, and F tier is more them just being entirely lame and pathetic. And we're gonna start it off with probably the worst group I have ever seen in this community.
Do you miss me when I'm gone? Do you miss me when I'm gone? Do you miss me when I'm gone?
Here we go. Let's get it. What is it? Persona. Why do I not give a f about Shin Megami Tensei, but I love Persona? I think it's because I need the dating system, man.
Look, as I've mentioned before, Persona is known for a lot of good things. Music, combat, characters, yeah, we all know. But one thing Persona has that really sets it up apart from other JRPGs is the fact you can date the characters in the story. Yeah. Unfortunately, this has attracted a large amount of people that quite literally only play the games for this. They mostly all come from 5's popularity since, yeah, this is the game that got a lot of notoriety for doing this. And I already know some people are gonna come to me saying, but Legendary, who cares? Just let people enjoy things. No, shut the f up. People generally have come into this series and only talk and play for the romance, and do nothing else. Not only is this missing all the other cool stuff about this game, but Persona isn't even the best option to do this for. I think as a JRPG series that is implemented romance, we quite literally do it the worst way. All you have to do is reach rank 10 by just affirming whatever the girl wants to hear, and boom, now they want to be in your pants. Like, it doesn't even really make any sense, because most of the people who do this, they have like, you know, the harem routes and stuff. They're just doing it to do it and don't even really care about the characters. Look, if you want to do a social dating sim game, why don't you go play freaking Yandere Simulator or Doki? Okay, maybe not Doki Doki. And the worst part is, if you're watching this just like me, you probably don't mind romance. You might make a few jokes about it here and there, like how, you know, Takemi for me and whatnot. But yeah, people like us just take it at face value and don't glorify it like it's the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, again, there used to be waifu wars over these types of characters, and that's just insane. Imagine a person willingly ready to argue for hours on end about why Makoto blushing the exact shade of fucking magenta makes her the best romance option in all of Persona 5. Like, nah, we ain't trying to hear none of that. Now, thankfully, the people who solely play for romance are usually just the smallest and tiniest group, yet are somehow still pretty loud. I've heard legitimately people discuss P5 as a date teacher simulator, when that's maybe 2% of the actual game. These guys also have a subgenre, which is legit just the gooners, but those are at least like known tourists, like they stick out like a sore thumb, so it's easy to find these types. They'll see like one look of Elizabeth and Margaret and be like, wow man, I've played all of Persona. Yeah, you could tell these people have no idea who they are. Honestly, I'm putting this entire group in F tier. Not a very humorous or at least amusing group at all, and they barely even make this list in the first place. Remember, this is about worst Persona fans. These types aren't even fans, so yeah.
I played more Persona games than you. I played more Megaten games than you. I have a degree in English and a focus in fiction writing. My media literacy and my knowledge of this series are better than yours.
Now this group is actually funny as hell, the Elitists. These are definitely people you can find more of in the community. Elitists are in a nutshell that I'm better than you because I've played these games longer and I've been a fan longer than you. Now all jokes aside, these people aren't as bad as the previous ones I just discussed, but a feeling of superiority because you played more Persona games than another person is just pathetic. Like, that's just lame as shit, I can't even lie. Now of course being informative to casuals and using your knowledge of the series to make videos and try to explain things is great. That's exactly what I do, for example. But it's when you shame a person or act like you're better than them where the problem starts to settle in. I like to think this is where the saying play a real Shin Megami Tensei game essentially came from, because it's just people having problems on quote-unquote easier games, and then elitists just telling them shut up and like, you just need to get good. Now, I don't hear this saying as much anymore since casuals have joined the community at an alarming rates with the recent releases and whatnot, but elitists still exist all over the place in the community. They have a knack for saying you aren't a real Persona fan or SMT fan if you haven't played this one game, and it's always the most obscure shit nobody ever really gives a fuck about. Yeah, you're not a real fan unless you played Megami Tensei Spin Your Balls Counterclockwise Deluxe on the Game Boy Advance that came out in 1998. Yeah, how can you even call yourself a real Megaten fan? Oh yeah, you think you're a P3 fan? You never played P3M that came out on the first phone decades ago. Huh, like you can be a true Persona fan. Like yeah bro, just shut this shit up, please. And look, I got my fair share of like very underrated unknown Megaten games that I bet my whole YouTube channel that what I just showed on screen right now, y'all have never ever heard of or seen. And that's entirely fine, because yeah, this game is old as hell. I think there's nothing wrong with trying to introduce people to play very niche games, despite the fact that nobody actually wants to play them, but it's not a crime to convince people. But that's entirely different than thinking you're better than others because you played a game that nobody has ever heard of. It's just odd. There's a subgenre of these people that gets even worse called the gatekeepers. These people are just usually like elitists but worse because they actively try and brag about a game, and then if a casual actually tries to get into it, they shun them away from it. Like, how can people actually want to get into your little niche games in the first place if you actively make it some secret club that they can't be invited to? It's just stupid, entirely stupid. Overall, they get S tier though, mainly because whenever an elitist is talking, I just think of the scene of Akechi going insane, ranting about how he's better than you, and it cracks me up because that's exactly how they all look in my head.
Ooh! Looking cool, Joker! Looking cool, Joker! Looking cool, Joker! Looking cool, Joker!
Now this group is so bad, it legit got its own spot in this video. The Persona 5 glazers. Now these players of this game in particular are worse than 4 and 3 simply because of the fact that unfortunately, this is the game that pretty much got everyone into the series for the most part. So a lot of P5 fans treat this game like it's the Bible. Like it's the best game period and it's the only game worth playing in the series. P3 is clunky and old, don't play it. P4 is clunky and old, don't play it. P1 and 2 doesn't even exist. P5 was so popular during its release that people legitimately thought that 5 was part of the atmosphere of the title. Like they just added the 5 for like aesthetics. No, it's the 5th entry in the series. Now I can excuse players from not knowing that, because if you don't know Persona exists, sure, you would think the 5 maybe has to deal with something like in-game or something. So yeah, also Joker's inclusion in Smash made a lot of people know who he was for the first time, so I can't really be mad at first time players thinking P5 was like the only game in the series, right? Now, if you actually do get introduced to the series though, and you've played 5, and now you're made aware that 4 and 3 exist, people will still absolutely just ignore this unless it's 5. Wow, P4 and P3 are nothing like 5, I shouldn't even bother. I should just watch the games or read the manga, it's the same as playing it anyway. If anyone ever says this around me, I'm taking your head off. And believe me, I've seen these types of arguments before. And even if they play the games, they just compare it to 5 anyway. And I guess I can give them a little bit of the benefit of doubt that, yeah, this was definitely Atlus's cash cow, its golden goose. But there are many other great games that resemble how 5 works that were made by Atlus, and nobody even bats an eye about them. Overall, this group gets C tier. They aren't like the worst of the fans, but they really aren't funny or amusing, and they're just premium rage baiters, so they get mid and average at best.
Fucking hell, man. I'm finished.
Now we save the best for last, and the largest group in the entire community. I'm sure you guys already know what I'm about to say for this category too, because these people will never formulate their own opinions about anything. Pure LARPing and just repeating the same opinions and jokes over and over and over until a new game comes out. Like, it's genuinely insane. Persona 3 is the best story, P4 is the best cast, P5 has the best gameplay, Dorkun, Shad Narukami, Haru has no screen time, great vegetables. Like, it never stops. It's gotten so bad that people have genuinely made videos on the most repeated Persona takes. And it's not even funny at this point. It's just insane how a bunch of drones we've all become. We are so dry as a community. The moment we get a taste of something new, we run it to the ground. The Subway Surfer is crazy. Look, I can't even say the damn name right. The Subway Slammer thing, we ran it into the ground in less than a week. I think the main reason this is happening is because people want to join these Persona spaces and just talk to other people about what they like and dislike, which is fine. But I'm starting to notice people are doing whatever they can to fit in and to basically avoid conflict and disagreements. So they're just repeating whatever popular take is at the moment to fit in without actually playing the game for themselves. A good example of this is the Okumura boss fight. For whatever reason, Persona fans act like this is the spawn of Satan. They literally refer to this fight like the Axis powers. And when in reality, I'm not trying to be like the group I just mentioned earlier, which is the whole Player Real SMT game group, but let's be honest, this fight is not that bad. Like, sure, it's a bit annoying and provides some more pushback than the previous fights in the game, but I'm actually telling you this fight is more just a weakness check, and that's really it. People make this seem like it's Hitler's second coming, and I'm telling you no, it's really not that bad. Half of these people, I don't even think they really believe it's that bad either. They're just kind of repeating what other people are saying and LARPing just to fit in. I remember hearing someone say, it was a chat I poked my head in, I really shouldn't have, but I remember someone saying how they literally had to use Izanagi no Okami to save them in this fight, and I just genuinely hit this. Like, what are we doing as a community, actually? How did these opinions and takes get so regurgitated over and over, they become the norm? Popular opinions often can be correct sometimes, but to a point where quite literally every person in this community is waiting for a famous person or a large demographic to say it for it to become truth is not a good sign at all. And if this continues, Persona 6 is going to have its own LARP, and I'm genuinely so scared for when that game releases, because it's just going to be repeating exactly what's happening now. I'm going to give this one an S tier, because yeah, this is just straight up hilarious how people will just LARP away and not even notice this is the biggest, largest part of the community that is doing this. So this by far gets the highest tier in the entire video. Well, that's about all I got. I could have said a few more, but like I said, I didn't want to make this video too big, and I'm still kind of new to this style also, so I kind of just threw this out to test the waters, and I'll see how it does. I know this video is also meant to be comedic, but I really hope that we also take a certain type of lesson in this, and maybe strive to not be any of these groups I listed. Of course, these type of things will happen, and at least we're not like these type of people. But yeah, if you like me yapping about Persona, like, sub up, and I don't know, you'll get a Takemi wrapped in a bow for your birthday. And oh yeah, Persona 6 will finally be released too.